Chapter 41. Dr. Cobra Dillon reflected on the train derailment. For some odd reason, the blood and blunt brutality of the patients injured reminded her of the American Civil War. She could not explain why it was so, although she speculated it might have had something to do with the sea of black faces surrounding her as she entered the emergency room. The dirty, unkempt souls lying on the floor, the small children everywhere, and the big black men walking aimlessly about reinforced those thoughts. The year could have been 1863. The site, a row of slave cabins situated behind a southern plantation, which had been ransacked by a northern troop of soldiers, while the Negro slaves moved lazily about without purpose, their master probably slain on the rich red earth of his estate for simply defending both his property and his land against a common enemy. Once again, Cobra Dillon thought harshly. White people were being forced to come to the rescue of the Negro. Again in history, they needed help. But this time around, Dr. Dillon was reluctant to give it. She remembered the gratitude her ancestors had received for giving the black aborigine a new home away from the wilds of Africa. She thought of his divisive nature. He had inspired a civil war, a war that pitted brother against brother, countryman against countryman. She recalled the burnt down plantations and ravaged lands of the South, the young white soldiers cut down in their youth. She also remembered the outcome of the Civil War. It had stripped her southern land of its riches and respectability. It had exposed her family to the northern carpetbaggers. It had labeled her people racist. Now, more than a century later, she was being forced by hospital rules to attend to the wounds of the Negro. The trauma bay was full of them. The plastic surgeon refused to conceal her unwillingness to help. She wouldn't allow her face to lie or her principles to slip. Once again, she thought as she grabbed a medical chart and moved towards her first patient. Society was mandating her position in life and how she should act towards another race of people. Cobra Dillon also did not try to hide the inked edges of the Confederate flag that seemed to wave proudly on her upper arm. However, the blue scrub top she wore did conceal most of it. The colorful half-sleeve tattoo represented her Southern beliefs and the surgical alumni she now belonged to. It and it alone allowed her to serve a community of people who were less than human and did not deserve her services or talents. Thank the Lord, she was able to choose most of her patients, the reconstructive surgeon thought brightly as she fixed a patriotic smile on her face and greeted her first patient.